unless you read music. Cool, so we got our intro that you're actually doing really well, except we want to go to our index there, or to your first finger. And we talked about, the most important thing here is, like, use your blues box in first position. And out in front of it is this thing we were just doing, which is, like, exactly, and, like, a lot of, and that works up the neck, too, of course. It's like I'm playing...
The second position?
Yeah. Yeah, and there we just want to ignore the low strings, pretty much. Like, when you watch people soloing in A minor pentatonic or whatever, they're just going to do the stuff here and then transition. It's not going to go like the books say or whatever. I actually had a thing where I was learning blues solos with a guy where we were like, let's see how long it takes for somebody to actually go across all 6 strings in pentatonic 2, and it was 80 solos, 80, before somebody actually went like across it there versus transitioning. So yeah, it tends to be just literally that part, and then we, move from it. And if you want to mess with this at all, well, anyway, here it's just, and their first position offers all these interesting opportunities that everywhere else doesn't. The key of E. That's why like every Muddy Waters song ever is in E, is because you can do that shit. Anyway, so there we are. And you're already good at this. Here I wanted you to use, you were using the thought, I'll end up at this shape, but it's kind of like, if you think about like, type shit, where you're like, or rather, I think there he actually puts in A, but anyway, there you go, just anything but all index or this thing, that's the worst thing to do, but you're doing that. Let's just acknowledge that it's bending the wrong way in your index finger that's making that possible. Cool, so, part 1. Excuse me. And don't play right now, we gotta finish quick things, sorry. This is like you at home later. There's our first transition. Picking up at that last note. And then we want to literally take the bass note away. There we are, and we're playing this G, so. Section, get all good at that. New section. And this is us talking about doing D this way, where sometimes you put in the first string, but not most of the time. So yeah. And that's the interesting part, is where he puts E into the D chord. We're not on A yet, so. And then there's like a wind up for that, and then A. So there we are. Down, and what we actually heard won't be anything else, but yeah, so the flop down with your ring finger thing. And then he goes, so there we are. And that's at the end, it's down, up, down, which is going to trip you out because you're going to want to do it like accents and the stuff that's accented. Anyway, cool, so there we are. And then we just moved on to the solo. Here's the whole thing once though. Cool. Then we're going. And that's really worth, half step bends, whole step bends, really important distinction. Whole step, and then he bends back to where it's a half step, and so it's like going, so he goes, and then we go, and this is what we talked about, the thing on the back you're striking there, but it's cool. And then we get something very similar to the first thing he did with this. And then, just kind of maybe end with some with your ring finger, just be like, just get recentered or whatever. But there we just had it on the back of the page, and it was like, And when you're doing this, it's important. You're like, my index is actually on the string. I'm pushing with 2 fingers. Same thing here, all 3 fingers. On the 3rd string, that's the only one where you bend up sometimes, down sometimes. Most frustrating part of actually getting good at an instrument is realizing you have to relearn stuff over and over and reassess what you have been doing. I mean, you know, there's so many times where we go across all of the strings there that it's not going to go. There aren't going to be a significant amount of times where you'd use your middle finger there. In fact, I'm hard pressed to think of anybody who's any good at guitar aside from Hendrix who does that. And he does it just because, like, whatever is kind of his reasoning. Like, he's just like, I want it to feel this way. Versus, you know, it doesn't make sense unless you're like this and have gigantic fingers. But whatever, so yeah, not this thing at all anymore. And the same thing's happening for you like when you're on that D or like that, so just kind of anticipating. We talked about like, so yeah, just kind of anticipate that you're going to need other fingers and stuff.